Welcome to the Wedco podcast, your ultimate guide to the wedding world. Whether you're a bride, groom, or wedding vendor, this is the place to be. Join us as we dive into real stories, expert advice, and behind-the-scenes insights to help you plan the perfect day. Hey guys, before we start this podcast, I'd like to ask you a super quick and easy favor. If you're enjoying the Wedco podcast, please hit that follow button on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. It might seem small, but it makes a huge difference in helping the podcast grow and means I can keep bringing on amazing vendors and couples to share their insights with you. Thank you so much for your support. I'm not going to go into too much about Wedding Collective, but I do, like, some of you are in it, some of you are out of it. For me, I think having done what I've done for 12 years, I've been a part of Tweed Coast Weddings in particular since its conception. The owners are very good friends of mine. I've also been a part of Scenic Room Bride, and I've done open days and I've done directories and I've not done open days and I've not done directories. And I think for me, when Lauren originally announced that she was shutting down Wedding Collective, it really struck something in me because I see so much of what it could be. And I think a huge thing, particularly for florists, there's quite a few of us here in the room. I think it's really hard for, florists, for caterers, for people, venues. There's huge costs that are associated with these open days. And sometimes I think that we get really disheartened because you go to an open day and you think, even just your time on a Sunday, right? And you go to these open days and you go, I didn't really make any sales, or in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks afterwards, I don't really feel like I got anything from it. And I think my philosophy has always been, from my experience, is that it's not necessarily, firstly, sales are really hard to track unless you're specifically asking every bride. Like, a bride might have seen you on, they might have had a venue recommend you, and then they've seen you at an open day, and then they've seen your Instagram come, like your reels come into their feed. So you might not necessarily find out exactly where they've pinpointed you, but if you're consistently in their view, they're more inclined to be able to actually book you or reach out and contact you. So my thing for open days has not been necessarily about tracking the exact sales that I'm getting for it. It's actually more for me been about networking, getting to know venues, building relationships with venues. My strength has always been actually my relationship with vendors. Like, I have built so many amazing friendships and relationships over the 12 years that I've been doing this, that when I'm doing an open day, I'm actually there to network as much as I am to actually meet clients and build direct sales. I'm also there to utilize it as an opportunity to do a styled shoot. We were talking earlier about styled shoots, and for us at Ivy and Blue, we have a photographic bank imagery of about 42,000 photos. Like, I've been doing this a while. So we don't really need to do styled shoots anymore, but we do need to consistently be able to put out to our clients the type of work that we want to do. So we utilize open days. Instead of paying money to go and do styled shoots, we use it as a networking opportunity. We use it as an opportunity to build imagery, and we use it as an opportunity to be able to get to know a venue and a venue to know us. So I think one of my biggest things when I took over Wedding Collective was to try and build a community of people that it's a common goal, and if open days don't work for you, that's totally okay. We are aiming with Wedding Collective, it's going to kind of be a little bit more of a faceless brand. Like, obviously with Ivy and Blue, it's literally all of our faces all the time. With Wedding Collective, I actually want it to be all of your faces. So that's probably why you haven't really seen me put my face on there a lot. I don't plan on doing it or putting my voice to it a lot. If anything, it'll be these girls. But we basically want to build an opportunity. So it's going to be the open day, which we have next weekend. The next one's booked for the 3rd of August. We have some beautiful venues coming on board. But our plan is, instead of like most directories where it's basically the open day and then we go silent for 6 months, our plan is that every one of these venues, we will have my beautiful girls going around doing Q&As with you guys. What do you want to see? What's your trend? What are you selling lots in 2025? Who's your ideal customer? And we're going to use that content for the next 6 months to be able to build and promote and sell you guys to your target demographic. So we're kind of building it to be a brand that's more for you guys to get something out of it. As an Ivy and Blue, like, obviously our business is styling flowers, planning,
stationery, hire, education, whatever the content creation in the last 12 months, our involvement is actually going to be exactly what it's always been. We literally will do 1 or 2 venues, but we're here to support you guys. So we're super open for feedback. The people that are a part of next Sunday, I feel a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure because most of you are my peers that I've worked with for, 10, 11, 12 plus years. And I feel a lot of pressure to be able to make your investment and your time in the day really beneficial. So I'm super open to everyone's feedback, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I really didn't take this business on for it to necessarily be a profit-making business. I actually brought it on because I do feel that the Gold Coast has a need for this. It works really, really well on the Tweed Coast. I've literally built my business from Tweed Coast Weddings. I kid you not. The support that I have had from them, and I think that that's kind of the support that I want to give to the Gold Coast community. So we're super open for feedback and what you guys think would work. And, if you feel that you have something that you want to share, that's honestly why we've taken this on board. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I don't want to keep going on about it, but it's something that we hope will bring a lot of value to the Gold Coast wedding community. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Stu. Claudia is actually Miss Wedding Collective, so a lot of the time, if you're actually emailing or out on site, it's not usually me, it's usually beautiful Claudia. So if you guys have any questions throughout the evening when we're finished, hit one of us up. The girls are also pretty well versed. If you're looking for a discount, don't ask me, ask Claudia. But I'm going to hand it over to Steve, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. And we hope that it does become something that's a really, really beneficial source of, directory and community for you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mandi. And honestly, thank you so much for taking over the Wedding Collective as well. When I spoke to Lauren, over the last couple of years, how much work she was putting into it. I don't know how she had time to do what she was doing. And then when Lauren announced that, it was like pretty much the next day I was like, oh shit, I need to take this over. And then when I heard that you guys were doing that, I was like, this is the best. Because especially because you've already got the team built out, you've got the people in place to be able to help build it. And where it sounds like you want to go with it is exactly right. You're saying, I think the Gold Coast needs it. Yeah. There's so many just pay-to-play open days where everyone I speak to, they're like, yeah, I just pay my $600 and I'll book a wedding and whatever. I think people are looking for a community and they want to be a part of something that's going to grow together. I just think the aim and where you're going with it, I think is definitely the way to go, and you're going to have a lot of support behind you. So thank you very much. So thank you, Coolibah, for having us here. So I think we just wanted to kind of have a little bit of an open discussion here, like a panel tonight, talking about, I guess, trends that everyone's seeing at the moment, what's working in the market currently, what isn't working in the market, where people are struggling. And it's kind of, we definitely wanted to kind of take a lead from what everyone around here was actually wanting to hear. We don't want to just kind of talk at you and you're like, yeah, awesome. We actually want to get ideas of okay, it doesn't have to be super specific, but where is everyone at the moment? We had a panel not long ago, and with the podcast, it is cool. I get to speak to a lot of venues, which is something I've never got to speak to, and a lot of different vendors. And there kind of seems to be the same kind of trends coming with everyone I speak to. And so it'd just be really nice to hear where everyone is. Is everyone feeling super positive about 25? And just kind of where everyone's, feeling for this year coming up, I guess. So I guess trends and everything, you're definitely more the trend person. That's not my wheelhouse. Do you want to talk about trends, I guess, within floristry and styling and everything?
Absolutely. So now I've got my ivy and blue hat on. So I think the huge thing for us, and it's, again, I love a chat, so I consistently am talking to everyone all the time. So one of the biggest things that I'm noticing coming through is cost of living, right? That's something that I really want to be open, and we are in a room amongst all of our peers, so I really want to be able to have an open and honest discussion, because I don't know about you guys, but the last year has really hurt me as a business. I feel like we came out of COVID and we always knew that we were going to have this influx of, COVID postponed postponements and this rush of everyone getting married and everything like that. And that kind of like the dust settled on that. And I got to a point where I felt a bit safer and I was like, oh, this is the new normal. And then like the second half of last year, I was like, this is fucked. I was at a Langham doing a speech last week and I couldn't swear at all. So I feel like you guys are going to get everything that I didn't swear at last week. Literally, but it's been really, really hard, right? And I feel like also too through COVID we lost a lot. I've just moved on from trends and I'm talking about how fucked it is. But no, I'm leading into where I'm going. So we lost a lot of vendors through COVID, right? Like a lot of people shut down that weren't able to survive. But then we also have gained this new realm of, oh my God, I got married and now I'm going to be a wedding planner and yada, 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 which is fine. But we've got this whole new influx. And it feels like, to me, there just doesn't seem to be as much work as there was previously. So I feel like in a lot of the trends that we're seeing from a floral point of view, like 2023, like Sarah Riley, like we were installs. Everything was installs and we were doing all these crazy things. And for you guys to get an idea of, for an installation, for example, we make really good profit off something like that. So as a business, there are things that we don't make profit of and there's things that we make a really good profit. So where we're not making profit off specific things like bouquets, we would then make up for it on installations. And in the last 6 to 12 months, all of that, like the trim, right, like the fat on the piece of steak, has completely disappeared. So I feel like it's really, really important with where the trends are going is we're going back to 2017, 2018, where everything was like foliage table runners down the tables because that's it, that we could forage it. It's all people could really afford. And I feel like we're kind of going back into that era at the moment. So the trends that we're seeing with all of our bookings and all of our quotations that we're doing is we'll see people spend really good money still on like a big statement piece. So we're trying to be really, really clever in kind of taking our budgets and going, all right, well, let's invest $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of how much flowers cost. I think it's really, really important to note that when you see like us do these big floral installations, that's probably $4,000 to $5,000, right? Huge money. So we're kind of taking a lot of our trends in terms of, okay, rather than focusing on like all of these little beautiful table details because we can't do installs, let's do a really, really bougie ceremony and then let's repurpose that for the reception. So that's kind of where we're seeing a lot of like floral and styling. It's not to say that we don't still have the clients come through that are doing, you know, really beautiful laden tables and French linen cloths and cutlery and stuff like that. We are utilising a lot of our trendy weddings. So we'll generally go through and pick, like if we have a really beautiful bride and they've got a relatively good budget and we know there's a good photographer on board, there's a good videographer on board, there's a good venue, we'll actually go and change the trend to what we want the trend to be, and we'll throw in tablecloths, or we'll be like, oh my God, I've got this gorgeous planning client and I think it looks so much better with gold cutlery. It's not costing us anything. So we're investing a lot of our time at the moment at looking at like, where do we want the trend to be versus where is the trend right now, and utilising the weddings that we have to build imagery. So yeah, trends I think at the moment are very money-based. Is my outtake from that. It's not necessarily about like the colour palette that's on trend or the style that's on trend because everyone's taking everything back. It's like, what do we have the money for the trend to be? And that's really pared back at the moment. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think similarly, as a venue, we've definitely noticed a shift. We generally try to offer like a base styling package inclusive with our clients, like when they book a wedding here. So generally we try to we had to figure out like, okay, what is it that, cost of living, what do people want to spend on, what they don't want to spend on? But then also sometimes we do also throw in our suggestion of like, okay, we know this is going to look better, but again, we'll throw it in because, we'll move things around or slightly give them a different setup because we know that, we want the trend to be slightly different. But we try to provide them like the base package of, I guess, the basic linens and whatnot. And obviously we've got amazing stylists around and lovely vendors where we can say, but if you want the upgrade, this is, what you're going to get, and it's going to be a completely different look. And we try to be transparent with that. And so, but then we have to just make sure our package is, again, just geared towards, okay, what is the base minimum as to what you want to create a base look? And obviously, if you want to add on to that, then go ahead. But again, it is very budget based. And I find that with venues, we really had to look at how do we, diversify, I guess, our income a little bit more in terms of like, with our venue, usually people who come to us will bring a big family because we have the capacity. So we started looking at, okay, what are different accommodation options and whatnot, again, that will, I guess, suit towards the client. So it's just building a really good base package for them to build upon, and then after that they can figure out, okay, what extra can I add to that, and if I want to create a really different look, how do I go about that? And that's when we can recommend all our vendors who are, again, the trendsetters really, and the professionals in that field, and we try to like push that over to stylists and florists that can create that for them.
I have a question for you. I'm the first question. When you decided, so obviously with all the renovations that you've done around Coolibah at the moment, it's super on trend. Bar, super on trend. Like the whole fountain thing dying, we were like obsessing over buying one ourselves. Where did you decide that's the aesthetic that you were going to go for? Like when you rebranded and renovated Coolibah, what made you decide that this was the trend you were going to go down? Or how did you find that?
I think with my venue, it was a little bit, with Coolibah, it's a little bit different because I'm not dealing with a complete new build. So there was a lot of pre-existing structures around, which I'm not going to, a lot of architects told me to let's just tear it down, start again, which is, I think it's completely impractical. So I had to work around with what I had in terms of that kind of the homestead currently. It's got that estate, like old estate feel. So we had to really play on that. But then again, we wanted to add something a little bit different. We looked at multiple different color palettes. I looked at multiple different styles. And ultimately, I didn't want to just create a style that's going to look good for maybe 3 to 4 years. It needed to fit in with the structures that are already around. And it's more just like an add-on, something slightly different. So once I played around with the palettes and we kind of went for that neutral tone and then set that, okay, we have a lot of timber around, we need to follow with that. So once we kind of figured out, okay, what do we already have and what's actually working and what style hasn't changed, like this kind of timber neutral palette really hasn't changed in the last like 20, 30 years or even more. So once we figured that out, and then we could build upon that of like, okay, what extra features do we want to add? Brass features or some more texture with the bar, with the cladding and whatnot. So sort of that's kind of how I just built along what we had, what was working, and then figured out what was not working, and then sort of deleted that out of the mix.
Which is kind of exactly how we style a wedding. We look at, okay, this is what the venue is, this is the furniture that we have. They don't have the money for furniture, so we literally will base layer up, and that's basically actually how we build a trend, is in terms of, okay, what is it that we're dealing with, what's the stock that we have, what's the venue, and then you just extend on that.
Yeah. So say I can only come from like say a photographer point of view or videographer. So if someone's going to come here and they're going to, I guess everyone's dream here as a vendor, it's kind of, I guess, venue then kind of trickle down to all the rest of the vendors. And so they really want to do right by you and they really want to kind of elevate your property so that they get to do more weddings here. Would you give them any advice before coming here on the day? You got these beautiful new renovations. Okay, cool. We really want to highlight this. We don't want to so much highlight other parts that were here before. Do you give them advice like that to kind of help elevate your brand and at the same time elevate themselves as well?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I think our team is really good with that because we get a lot of videographers and photographers that might have been here maybe 3 years ago, and then once it's renovated, they haven't come. So my team is really good at saying, hey, can we get some more photos of this section? Maybe try and not do this bush because it's not completely built yet. So we kind of are able to give them advice of like, this corner looks great. That corner, I don't know about. The shadowing, not 100% there. So we try, but we love it when videographers or photographers and they reach out to us to ask us these things because it just makes it a lot easier.
Actually, that's such a talking point that I actually wanted to, back to Wedding Collective hat, is this co-collaboration. So that's another thing that we're hugely driving because I know we all get involved in my job is the most important job and I'm doing such and such a favour by doing this. So I think it's super, super important, right? Like, when you're coming into a venue or when you're working with a planner or a stylist or a florist or whatever, like everybody's job is super important and how can we all work together to elevate that? having done this as long as I have, sometimes there can be really uncohesive relationships. Like sometimes when I've reached out to a photographer to be like, oh my God, like I'm doing this open day and I'm spending $2,500 on flowers and $1,000 on staffing. Do you think that you could grab me some imagery? I've actually had quite a bit of pushback on that before. Clearly not from Steve, because Steve always shoots my stuff. But I've had photographers be like, oh yeah, I'll do it for you for $1,200. And I'm like, you motherfucker. So I think it's super important that like everybody's services, like particularly with open days or, you know, when we're doing a venue, catering is another huge one actually. Like as a planner, give me your food to try, because I can tell you right now, I'm going to recommend you if I think your food's really good, if your service is really good. I've been at venues before where like the venue has said, oh, you know, like I'd love to try that canapé. And I've had caterers literally like snatch the plate out from underneath them. And I'm like, mate, you are never working here again. So I think it's super important, that cohesive relationship in terms of like, if you're going into a venue, like, hey, we usually will send, if we're going into a new venue, we'll be like, hey, we're so excited to come and meet you after the wedding. We're like, hey, like, you know, can we do anything? Is there anything that we can do to help? It was so lovely to work with you. It's that cohesive relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah, keeping on that point is like trying to remember you are running a business. Like it's so easy to get in your own head and like, this is what I do. Like emailing or calling a venue 2 days before to say that, of course they're going to remember who you are. Yeah. And even like little things like social media, like so many people will do a reel and just be like, collaborate, you know, instead of like just like 5 days out, like, hey, I'm planning to put this out on Monday. You know, is there any photos you'd like to have for the front cover of the reel? Yeah. And just like running it like a business, because then they're going to be like, yep, cool, Monday morning, 8:30, yes, we'll collaborate. And then all of your stuff's going to get shared rather than doing some photo in front of the bush they don't want, you know, photos of. And then they're like, of course, I'm not going to put that on my Instagram reel. And that makes like, that does, if you get, you know, in, like when I used to work a lot in Melbourne, I used to work at 5 venues and they used to pass me, you know, 5 or 6 weddings every single year. And it was just because of the relationship that I built with them. And then they literally send you work. And everyone here would know the difference between getting a lead from like a meta ad versus a venue. They're not the same. You know, like, you know, 1 in 2 from a venue is going to book you, 1 in 10 from a meta ad is going to book you. So it's like, just think about it from a business point of view. And I know we're all busy. I know, you know, we've got so much stuff to do, especially like everyone running the, you know, their sole, you know, business. But it's just like, just maybe even put those processes in place. You know, like 2 days out, we contact the venue, we say we're going to be there. Same thing, like, is there anything you want us to highlight? Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, they're thinking about our venue. How amazing is that? So it's just, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah. And I think it really builds like rapport of, you know, we can see, oh, wow, your work ethic is so amazing. And naturally, as a venue, we meet lots of vendors. So it's like, oh, we do want to push them because we can tell like the work ethic is there and they want to know what's going to work with our branding. And likewise, we always want to know what's going to work with your branding. But once it happens once or twice, after that, it's pretty much, I think we kind of understand sort of where the tonal palettes are going, and it becomes really easy. And, you know, if you share anything, it's really easy because we know what's going to work and whatnot. Everyone kind of picks it up pretty quickly.
I think the whole, like, actually to lead segue into Instagram would be a really good thing, because I reckon we probably get maybe 4 to 5 people invite us to collaborate on a post every week. I am really like, our Instagram is our baby, effectively. Like, we spend a lot of time and energy working on it because we do get so much work from it. And we do have to decline most of them because they don't fit our grid, or like the content isn't organic or whatever it might be. So I definitely think that like reaching out and having that discussion in advance would be amazing. Particularly for some businesses like ours, we do try to go through and like map out our social media. So like on our feed, your Instagram feed is effectively your business card. And I listened to a podcast, and the not the Wedco one, but everybody should listen. But it was actually about social media marketing, and it was basically saying that in this day and age when we don't give out business cards anymore, the first time that someone finds out your business, they won't go to your website, they will go to your Instagram. And they will instantly, within the first 3 seconds, decide if you are or are not their person, their brand, their business. So we are very, very specific in, you need to know when they look at your Instagram grid. Love Instagram, that just turned them all to portraits the other day from squares. you need to be clearly telling a story of what you do. So we map out our Instagram and we'll try and do like picture of a couple, picture of table styling, picture of a bouquet. Like we try and spread it out so you can really clearly see what we do. So if we then get like, and we've got like 3 couples next to each other, that really messes with my autism. So I have to I physically can't accept it. It will hurt my soul. So definitely reaching out and being like, hey, when could we do it? And making sure that it works for all parties. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think a big trend would be, I'll kind of go down the business kind of realm a little bit. Talking back to like COVID, the mass exodus of older kind of crew that have been around for 10 years, a lot of new people coming in. I feel like for me, everyone I've been speaking to, this is the year of people are going to do really, really well. And there's going to be a lot of people that do not great at all. And so I think it's really, couples are looking the difference between I am the business myself and I do everything versus like I am a small business and we've got, the marketing aspect, we've got the ads, we've got everything kind of, and the client experience as well. So I think it's really kind of stepping up. We are kind of competing, actually, I hate to do this, but this is like a school thing. How many people do this full time versus how many people do this full time as a business and this is like their full-time gig? Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. The Ivy and Bleu is like half of it. Cool. So like the difference between like we do this full time. And so if you're losing jobs to people that do this as a second job on the side, like isn't acceptable anymore. Like everyone's busy, everyone's got kids, everyone's got family life, everyone's got things going on. But you really need to you can't be just the photographer anymore. I take pretty photos. That won't get you jobs anymore. Like coming back to the Instagram thing, like you need to have a marketing plan in place. You can't just be like, epic photo, post. Like you can't do that anymore. You need to actually have like systems in place to be able to work, I guess. And people are looking for like an elevated experience with that, with the client experience as well. You can't just, if you get a lead from Instagram or whatever, you can't just send an email and be like, hopefully they come back and book me. It doesn't work anymore. Everyone's got enough choice. So I think the trend for this year will be you want to be one of the people that does really well because there's going to be a few of them and there's going to be a lot of people that kind of just go to the wayside because they're not elevating their business to kind of keep up. Do you have a thought with that at all?
I think so. Maybe, just that I fully agree. And I think to add on to that, you also want to be the person that's going to pop up to stay relevant in the customer's mind, I think. I think that's really important because it's not that, what you're creating is not good. It's just that you're not coming up enough for them to remember whatever the brand is because, they don't know who you are at the end of the day in the very beginning, only until they meet you, they understand your personality and then so you want to be able to present that personality but also pop up in their minds all the time. I think that's very important.
This is definitely this is one of our strengths. I have to own the fact that we are content whores. I forget that we're filming this, so you might need to cut majority of what I say. But we are very, very specific in terms of we will have like a reel of us, a reel of a pretty wedding, a reel of us. So we pop up in your feeds all the time. And if we don't, I'm about to annoy the shit out of you all. So we do that because it's a branding technique of ours, and that's because we want people to be comfortable with who we are. I spoke about it a lot last week at the Langham, and I just find it's not everybody's target strategy, but it's worked really, really, really well for us. And that is literally just putting a face to our brand or a brand story effectively. So for anybody that arrived bang on 4 o'clock this morning or this afternoon, you would have seen me and the girls on the ground filming a TikTok being absolute idiots. And we are very, very specific in where we've started sharing a lot more on TikTok, and I'm going to talk quite a bit about that because I feel like there is a massive, massive, massive shift happening at the moment from Instagram to TikTok, and this is the time to be getting on that train. Like Alina and I were talking earlier about how you might not be getting much engagement on TikTok at the moment, but all of the TikTokers, and I know because I birthed a 15-year-old one, all of the TikTokers that when TikTok first started becoming like a really big thing were like 15, 16, 17, 18. All of those girls, because we know girls are generally booking in the wedding world, are now 22, 23, 24. Right? So if you're not starting to invest some really good heavy time into TikTok, in a couple of years, you're going to be doing yourself a real disservice. So we're very, very specific about what we share to Instagram. We will definitely still share like some of our like polished like dancing, or like Em and I did one rolling on the floor of our warehouse this afternoon, being like, here's your wedding planner for 2025, versus we're a little bit more unhinged on TikTok. And that is because I am putting out to the world that I want that type of clientele, right? Like that's the clientele. I don't want the necessarily like there's a couple of different demographics, right? We don't brand ourselves to the really, really, really high demographic, because particularly in Queensland, there is a very, very small amount of high-end weddings that we get here. So we market ourselves to like, you know, middle to top sort of like standard, and I'm marketing to myself. I want to get the type of client that I connect with personally, that my girls connect with personally. So we put a lot of who we are personally out there. And TikTok, honestly, we're just having a little bit of fun. What we're doing with our TikTok channel at the moment is we are creating the content that TikTok wants. TikTok wants really, really raw, really organic, unfiltered, high quality content of people just being silly. Instagram, we're in the area where you do want to start putting your face a little bit more to it, but it's still a little bit more polished, right? It's professional imagery, photography, videography, really well thought out reels, trending audio. So they're very, very different what you want to market them to. So I think it's really, really important in this day and age, if you don't have a really strong, specific social media plan that you are posting daily to, and you're posting across a multitude of platforms, the algorithm is really, really clever. So if you're not posting to your stories, even though our story engagement has dropped, like we used to get 10,000 plus viewers on our stories every day, like religious. I think we're probably lucky to have like 500 to 2,500 story views at the moment. Like it's wildly dropped. But Instagram actually penalizes you if you're not still posting to your stories. So it's really, really important to have a really strategic social media plan in place, and to be posting across like a whole different platform of posting like carousels to your grid, posting reels, posting to your stories, making sure that you're posting at the right time of day. And then Instagram then rewards you by making your page more visible to your demographic. So yeah, that's my social media. It's something I'm super passionate about, like, because it's done so well for us.
Well, last then. Oh, sorry. We got a question over the back. Hold on, wait for the mic. I'll pass it back to you.
I run our socials, and I am finding it just exhausting, right? Just constantly feeling the need to come up with real ideas, posting consistently, like posting at the right time, like I don't want to schedule in advance because I want to collaborate. And I'm wondering, I see other people that maybe don't have that daily consistency, but they put money into Instagram ads. And I'm wondering, like, for you, have you explored whether, for the time and effort involved, maybe you don't have to be this, like, I just feel like, oh, it's exhausting. Like, I can't have a week off from Instagram. And then you're talking about TikTok, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's a whole, like, we built up Facebook and we got heaps of followers on there, and now it's dead. So it's like, yeah.
Facebook is going to come back.
Really?
Yeah, Facebook, I definitely think. So this whole, I don't know if everyone watches what's happening like in America and everything specifically at the moment. There is a lot of like this whole meta, you will start, I think, I don't know Mark Zuckerberg personally, but I think you'll start getting penalised at some point in the near future if you're not cross-pollinating across both platforms, because they're so, like, they're trying to keep Facebook alive and they're really struggling at the moment. So I think there's going to be a lot of stuff around that. Firstly, 120%, I'm exhausted all the time. I used to really enjoy it and get a huge kick out of social media. It is definitely a job for me. I am very lucky that I have a very ridiculously attractive group of women that are a lot younger than me that find cool things to do, because I'm over it. However, I'm also super aware of how important it is to my business, so I prioritize it. And the way that Meta ads work specifically, does anyone know much about like posting on Instagram, the app, versus doing ads through Meta? Do you guys know much about that? Couple of you. Okay, so if you promote an ad through your Instagram app, you now pay a fee through like Apple for that. So say for example, if you have a $250 spend, you're actually only getting probably $200 or $210 worth of ads. You need to be posting directly through Meta to be able to access the full amount of your funds, but also they will actually promote your ads better if you do it through Meta versus if you do it through the Instagram app. So that's really important to know. What also happens is when you pay for advertising, they will make you think that it's doing really, really well, and the first one or two that you do organically then afterwards will do really well, but then it will tank it because it wants you to go, oh, I need to put more money into it. It's a business, right? So you are way better to get organic traction over paid traction. Does that make sense? In the long term, because otherwise they keep wanting your money. Like, yeah.
I'll push back. I'll say Instagram ads 100%, but don't be wasting your money boosting posts. That's like you're just throwing money away. I've built 2025 and 2026 off Instagram ads, and like I spend at the moment between say the agency and ads, I'm spending $3,000 a month, but I'll be booking probably like 40 grand's worth of weddings every month. So for me, it's just like, why would I not be doing that? I absolutely suck at social media. So now with that money, I've got like staff in the Philippines, so they cost me 12 grand a year. So I think it's like working out for me. It was like, okay, how am I going to make this profit? Then now I can pay for a staff member in the Philippines for a whole year. And then I've gone through and gone to different courses and like people that I really respect and like I love their courses. And so I've bought those and trained up my social media people over there because this is what I want to do. Because still you want to be able to get the organic jobs because the Meta ones aren't your ideal client. They're going to be a lot more broad, and I kind of call them, you'll have your work weddings and you'll have your dream weddings as well. You'll probably get a higher percentage of work weddings than kind of the dream ones that you really want to represent everywhere else. But as far as building a business in the short term, Meta ads for me has been like an absolute game changer. And just giving me the time and space to be able to put that money into someone else to train them up, and now they're doing all my social media and all my marketing every day that I don't have to do anymore. So I think it's like even coming back to like running your business as a business and being like, okay, for us it costs us say probably 5% of every job is what it costs me for advertising. So I know like, if I'm going to book a $7,000 wedding, I've got to put about $350 worth of ads to book that wedding, but that's okay. I'll do that every single day. So I think it's just like kind of thinking that way. But ads for my business has been life-changing.
I actually want to add on there. Sorry.
No, you go.
It comes down to your branding, because I say that from an Ivy and Bleu point of view, but from a wedding collective point of view, I've been like every cent that everyone has been investing with us. Again, this is not a profit business for us. We have been investing because it's not a face brand. With Ivy and Bleu, I have our faces, so we utilise that and we don't have to spend money. We're busy enough as it is. But for Wedding Collective, because our marketing strategy is different, there we have been investing in ads. And because we're aiming for a quick turnaround of a high volume of leads, works really great.
I think similarly to Steve's point, for us, Meta ads have been a massive game changer. I think for us, we had been working on our rebrand for maybe like 2 to 3 years, just because some clients have booked years in advance, so we can't fully change the brand straight away. They need to recognize us. But we went from essentially a faceless brand. It was more about what the venue looked like and whatnot, to now I think our team is a lot more up in front of the camera. We're getting used to it. I think we're getting a lot better at it now. Before it was a bit awkward, but I think Meta ads has definitely been a huge push. You'll be able to see a very quick benefit. Like within probably 3 months, you'll see a massive jump. But with that being said, I think it's really important prior to investing heavily into Meta ads is to work on the product. So depending on if you're a makeup artist or if you're a stylist or a florist, work on the product first, get that branding identity down pat, figure out where the differentiation of other brand from you to other brands are first before putting that money in. Because once you put more money into meta ads and whatnot, it'll only just keep going from there. And if you don't have the basis down pat, it's just not going to work. And also, I think luckily with us, we had been around for a little bit, so our organic traffic was already there. So now it's about, like, I'd say our leads would be about 45% would be from the meta ads, and then the rest of that would be from organic traffic. That's the kind of split we're looking at currently.
Yep. Cool. Another question?
Sorry. I actually wanted to come back to what Mandi was talking about earlier, because I think TikTok is an incredibly relevant topic to talk about right now. And I think I could probably give a very different perspective on that. So I'm actually one of the people that did start a TikTok when it was first released. I was living in America at the time. So I've actually been impacted by the recent changes that affected all the Americans, because my app actually was installed in America. So I got involved in the ban. Now, I don't know if I rejoiced when it came back in 12 hours. But something that you guys may or may not have noticed, because you weren't kind of in that blackout period, is the great amount of changes that came with that. So it has kind of privately been sold. Not a lot has been talked about it just yet. But with that actually came a connect your Facebook button. Which I'm sure you've probably noticed. So I do agree with you. I think Facebook's going to be a lot more popular, and especially with a lot of changes that are happening in Instagram, it's just not creating the same feeds that people want to see. And I know for myself, I don't sit there and default to Reels. I default to TikTok, and I think that says a lot about, like, our demographic that we're probably targeting right now. A lot of people in this room maybe around that age, or maybe are a little bit older, and that's not their social media habits. But for the social media habits of the people that are getting married, like you were saying, they're the changes that are happening right now. And right now people are actually angry, really mad about what's happened on TikTok. And a lot of people are actually hopping off of that platform just to kind of stand up against it and say then, like, they're not having any of that. That it's bullshit. Like, don't do that. So I think absolutely Facebook is going to take a big stand in that. Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of changes. I've already noticed there's actually a lot of censorship. Again, I don't know if I see a couple of people nodding. There's a lot of censorship already on TikTok. So I think we need to be really intentional with the sort of content that we're putting out there. I think we're going to see the same thing happen with Instagram. And again, with Facebook, it's just going to come into the future of social media in general. We need to be really, really aware about the content we're creating and pushing out. And yeah, be intentional. Don't just put it out because, like, oh yeah, I did a cool photo. Nice. It's like, cool. No one cares.
What's your brand?
My brand, as in, like, the name of it, or what my brand is?
Like, what's your... I feel like everyone, when you talk, let's all cross-pollinate of... My name is Mandi, I'm from Ivy and Bleu.
Yeah, so I'm Shana Ray. Some of you know me as Shana, some as Ray, from Camino Events Co. I actually don't have a huge following because I kind of took a little bit of a step back in the wedding community. I used to be a coordinator here. Hi. So yeah, and then I jumped back into it. So I actually have a really different perspective on social media, where I do a lot of more of, like, the silly content that you guys post. Actually on my tattooing page. So I am a tattoo artist, like, on the side. It funds my pure passions of working in the wedding industry. But I do experiment a lot with social media on there. And I have also noticed something that's really interesting, and I guess this is why it's working so well for you. Sorry to baffle on, I will almost be done, is faces. Instagram loves when you put a face in a reel, and it makes a world of difference. Flashing a couple of photos versus talking to the camera and being really organic, it will pump it out. It loves it. Yes, I will stop rambling. That is
no,
all I have
it's
to add.
120% true. The girls and I literally test this out on, like, a weekly basis. We will be like, what's the best thing that we've done this week? And we will put up, like, something that's like the butterfly. Did you guys, we did candlesticks the other day, and we, like, individually glued hydrangea. Iconic, right? No
so
one's
pretty.
done this. Crazy. And then, so we posted that, and then we posted us being dickheads, and we get, like, maybe our average might be like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 views on, like, the prettiest thing we do. And then we post the girls and I dancing out the front of our warehouse, and we're like, the one that we did here, 6.3 million, right? The amount of followers an actual organic inquiries, like I went back through the stats of that week that reel went viral, and our inquiries were 570% increased from the girls and I being nitwits. Like, we had a really fun time doing it, but faces really work. The algorithm really loves faces.
Sorry, I was just going to build on. I figured the microphone was coming through, might as well. Emily, Hive Entertainment, for anyone who doesn't know, live music, DJs and bands and things. Steve, I just kind of wanted to build on a little bit of what you're saying, and it's definitely all collaborative into the content conversation. I did write it down because I'm ADHD and I was totally going to forget by what we were saying. I know, so much. That's because we're all creatives, and that's we couldn't work 9 to 5. Instead, we work 24/7, yeah. Yeah, just about, you made a comment about sort of meta ads not so much finding your ideal clients, but more so about visibility on sort of just staying in front of people. How do you sort of find, I'm deep diving a little bit into meta at the moment. I've back and forthed a lot with it, but I'm very much like diving into it at the moment, into the crux of it. Most of my bookings up until for the last 3 years have been word of mouth, collaborations, expos, showcases, and then just general visibility on social media and people finding us through there. How do you find in terms of like, you know, securing, you said that, you know, 1 in whatever might be your actual ideal client. Yep. Do you find that you're running meta ads more so to actually find ideal clients, or is it like, you know, the higher budget clients or whatever, or is it more just about visibility, staying in people's faces, like not so much getting the clients from the actual lead in the ad, but more so they've seen you pop up 3 times and then they followed you on Instagram and then they found, you know, reached out in your DMs or sent you an email or filled out a website form or something? It's more of like multiple channels and just staying in people's faces, or it's actually like booking through Meta and through those leads?
So for me, booking directly through there, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I've got, since New Year's, I got 71 leads and 69 were from meta ads.
Yeah, okay.
2 were organic. Like I suck on social media really bad. I grew my business. I grew up in Melbourne and I shot in the Yarra Valley. It was probably like 9 years. And it was only like pretty much at COVID when I couldn't go down there anymore. I was like, I kind of cut ties with Melbourne and so had to kind of rebuild here. And so like my big goal for this year was like, I knew how much I needed to make personally myself for every wedding. And I just wanted to be in pretty much the Gold Coast and Byron Market, and that was it. And so like every one of my weddings coming up this year are like literally like an hour from my house, which is the absolute dream. Yeah. The coming back to like ideal clients, like I just, for me, before this, like, okay, so I've got the podcast. I was doing absolutely everything I could to kind of build up an organic reach and try and book. And it felt like I put in 6 months and kind of got nothing because of that. And so like it kind of just flipped in my head. It's like, why don't I just pay money and then I'll get that? No, but that's seriously what it was. And it was like, but $3,000 a month is scary. Like it's like, like, okay, $36,000 a year I'm going to pay to get clients. But then to kind of then be like, you know what, I don't have to be a part of any of the apart from... No, but you know what I mean? Like I don't have to kind of do absolutely everything through the whole year and keep myself on Instagram 40 hours a week and trying to do that. It all kind of came literally through meta ads. But coming back to like, it wasn't a boosted post. It was very kind of intentional. Like if you go back to like a couple other episodes, it's definitely like kind of trying to work out what your offer is for the client. And then kind of putting that forward and then moving through to like that whole sales page. I don't know if you've kind of delved much into it, but it's like if people are going to go into your website and you watch people where they go on your website, they'll kind of get through a little bit and then they're like, oh cool, I have to make dinner or I've got to make a coffee or something like that, and they kind of go. So it was really kind of setting up, like Alina was saying, setting up everything prior to doing the ads so that when you actually did it, they would kind of go to a landing page and then they would actually go through that whole landing page and they'd send through an inquiry. And yeah, still, it's probably 1 out of every 10 from a meta ad would actually book, but probably, you know, 4 are getting on a Zoom call with me. And so it's just kind of working out the systems prior to paying the money. Otherwise, you're going to spend a ton of money and not make any more weddings as well. And then it just kind of doubles down a bad time. Does that answer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think as Mandi, as you mentioned earlier, like we definitely saw an influx. I mean, my business was a bit of a COVID baby. My husband and I have been musicians for 10 years, but down in Melbourne similarly. And then we moved up when we were allowed to, because everything shut down, and we were like, run for the border, go, make a dash. And so we came up here about 4 years ago, and it's been interesting for us to kind of try and understand the climate up here. Obviously down in Melbourne, it's very saturated, it's very competitive, it's very similar to Sydney in that sense that like there's a lot of amazing entertainment, there's a lot of amazing brands, and then up here we kind of got that sweet spot where we had this really beautiful looking brand and sounding brand, and it really kind of hit that niche right in that like growth period after COVID when it was like that big influx. But I suppose for us now that things are sort of, as you mentioned about things sort of starting to settle, we're sort of going, okay, what is the new normal, and where is going to be the most productive ways for our, like places for us to get our leads? Because everything's been very, like we've been very lucky in that like it, well, I say it's luck, but we worked our asses off to build the brand to make it look really good. Like it was but we've been lucky in that like we haven't needed to invest heaps in advertisement and marketing in that sense, that we've managed to get a lot of organic to build where we are. But yeah, it's definitely, I feel like the landscape is shifting a little bit, and so it's just interesting to sort of as we're diving into like Meta a little bit more intentionally now, and sort of just seeing about like just learning a little bit about so how everybody's finding their leads coming through, and where are they getting it from, and where are they spending finding the best investment for having those consistent bookings and keeping that flow really consistent, which is I think one of the hardest parts about the current climate is like we're noticing it just seems to be like it's changing, and it's so no, but thank you, that's good.
Hi, I work for Mandi. My name's Mia. It's a lot more nerve-wracking because I can't say, okay, delete, let's do it again. But I was just going to say something about the TikTok stuff that we notice a lot. Like us three, like we're in our 20s. So
these are my TikTokers.
Claudia's engaged. We're hopefully soon we'll get engaged. Like we're at that age. So like we're watching that stuff, like we're looking out for that stuff, we're looking at stuff, obviously we work in it, but we're looking at it a lot. And we're on social media a lot, like that's our spare time is watching it.
Usually between the hours of 9 to 5.
So anything we see we'll be sending to each other to save, bank it for later. That's something we do a lot as well. Turning those ideas that we see like random companies doing, ways that we can make it in a way that relates to our business. Like the girls did one today. I don't know what it was. You guys saw it, something random, and turned it into like find your wedding planner. Looking for a real estate agent, and then turning that into looking for your wedding planner. But something we noticed as well, I don't know if any of you know who Jazz Handmade is or Remy by Riley. There's these girls on TikTok. So one's a jewelry brand, one's a clothing brand. I didn't know that for ages. I just followed them because I loved their stuff until eventually, because I loved them so much, I followed them, and now I love their stuff. So that's something that I think we try to do. We like to copy their TikToks, because if people love us, they might go, okay, I want them to be a part of our wedding. I really want them there on the day.
Yeah, it's about making them, our method is making them fall in love with us, and they're like, those girls are so cool, we really want them there on the day.
Oh, what do they actually do? Let's have a look.
And then it might be like the third, fourth time that they come across one of our TikToks or one of our reels, then they'll actually go onto our page and be like, wow, okay, these girls do good work as well. And then they'll actually follow us and hopefully book us. So
people book people that they like. People don't book people that they don't like. And you don't want people that don't like you to book you, because you're not going to have a nice client experience.
Yeah.
So.
Can I ask Mia something? No, she's about to get married. Okay, so on TikTok then, obviously you can advertise and everything within TikTok. If ads came across your feed, would you be likely to click on them? Or would you be likely to be like feel grossed out and there's no way I'm...
Yeah, if it's an ad, I won't click on it.
Yep.
That's just me. There is, same. I'm like, it'll be something I see in a TikTok, and then I'll go to that page because I'm like, oh, I really want that, or I want to hire this person, whatever it is. I'll go onto their page, see, oh, they do heaps of cool stuff, or they sell heaps of cool stuff, and then I'll go from there. The only times I'll click on ads if it's by accident on TikTok, because they trick you and whatever. But I mean, also I'm not, if I'm shopping like Claudia, maybe she's
engaged, so she's going to be actually looking for those things. So she might click on the ads,
Yep.
but not on TikTok. But
Does the algorithm work similarly to Instagram, where if you are looking for engagement rings or dresses or something like that, you're going to get flooded with that? Okay.
I would say better. I would say better than Instagram.
Yeah. Is it more effective? Like, is it more quicker?
It's quicker, yeah. Like, for example, I wanted to buy this dress the other day. I was like, I wonder what this would look like on other people. So I just searched the name of the dress, and there was hundreds of videos of girls in this dress. You cannot get that on Instagram. It's, It's
the way that you have to approach your different social media channels is wildly different. So Facebook people are there to like, oh, grandma posted a funny reel, right? You're there to see what your family and your friends are doing. And if an ad comes across, amazing, that's great. Instagram people are going to buy. So people are going through to look for a service. I'm getting married, hashtag wedding planner Gold Coast, and people are still looking at hashtags. So they're going there for a specific reason, to purchase, to look for a vendor, whatever it might be. TikTok, they're actually just switching their brain off, and they're just randomly scrolling. So when you look at, my autism, I'm super interested in like how the brain works. It's my thing. So when you look at the research behind marketing strategies, everything's subliminal. Have you guys watched the Will Smith, Margot Robbie movie when they go to they focus and everything's like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. That's what TikTok is. TikTok is subliminal marketing that just plants the idea when you think that your brain is switched off, and it's, putting someone or something in your radar consistently to make you think, oh my God, I have to book that wedding planner.
yeah, because I'm sure you guys can say how many times in a day I'll be like, oh, I saw this thing on TikTok. I got to show you. I saw this thing on TikTok. I'm following people on Instagram because their work's beautiful, and maybe saving it for later. Yep. That's something that, I just love to look at their stuff, and then hope, like, maybe I'll book something from there. But I just feel like TikTok, especially like with the younger, with us, we're 21. So if you're having 21-year-old brides, but yeah, babies.
I was just going to ask, like, for, I don't know, another platform for us that we find very effective is our Google review page. We find that, like, we put a lot of effort into, our coordinators put a lot of effort into making sure everyone tries to leave a review and whatnot. And with us, it's really helped with our algorithm, but also it's mainly the brand trust that we can add. And then it's just another element that we've found, putting a lot more time into that has really gotten us a lot more customers and whatnot.
Going back to Google, going back to Google is also not forgetting Google paid advertising as a relevant form of marketing and advertising. I was watching a thing with Simon Beard the other day, who was the originator, the owner of Culture Kings. And I met him at an event afterwards, and I was picking his brain, and he is a very, very smart man. But Google performance advertising, I don't know much about it personally, but that's also super relevant, because people are still, depending on what your demographic is, I still go to Google and I still type in, I'm looking for whatever, like a massage therapist in Southport. That'd be creepy, but like, happy ending. So people are still using Google as a way to actually search it. And like at the moment, I think Ivy and Bleu is on like the second or third page if you type in wedding planner or wedding florist Gold Coast, which is devastating to me because I think we're the best. No, I don't. But definitely not forgetting Google as if we're investing money. I think it dropped off for a little while because everything was so Instagram and meta based, but I definitely think that Google is still really relevant.
I don't know if anyone else is the same on that. Sorry, I'm loud, so I was just going to yell. And again, don't know if this is just mytism, but if something comes up on Google and says ad, I will purposely boycott it. I don't know why. I have a business and I use ads. But that makes me have trust issues and it makes me angry, and I won't click on it. So
the thing that's my trust issues is if someone says Gold Coast best or number one voted, or I'm like, by who? Your mum? Super relevant. But the Google performance ads, it's hugely different. Right. So what it actually does, instead of it being like an ad, it actually just boosts you to the top.
Right.
So it's a very, very different thing to like Google ads. Google performance-based advertising is meant to be different. I don't know enough to talk too much.
I think it's a little bit more like, so you know how there's obviously traditional SEO that you can invest in that generally takes a long time to pick up if you haven't been around on Google long enough. It's like a quicker version.
Right.
Like you can get your name if they search Gold Coast wedding dresses and you invest more into your performance ads, it can get you to like the top 10 listing at a very quick rate.
I think I'm already in it, just saying. But
Yeah.
but it doesn't say ad. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It looks organic.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that ad word makes me mad, and I will not look at you.
But then I guess also that didn't cost me any money if you didn't click on it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like, meh,
Yeah.
like you're not my ideal client. I want someone that's going to click on it.
Is
You
that
know?
the same with like Facebook and stuff too? Like,
No, it's only Google. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I'm going to help the little guy out down here, and I will purposely go below it. Yeah. Yeah, that's just my dream.
I just want to, I'm Sophie and I work for Vienna with Flowers Gold Coast. I just will start by saying we do, most of what Vienna's done has been retail over the past. She started a retail business in her garage 5 years ago, built it up, la-da-da. Now we're exploring into the weddings and events, and the difference in marketing for retail compared to weddings and events is crazy. And trying to kind of even just seeing the generational difference in marketing to something that is retail based, which people are going to buy from Facebook ads because it's a, don't hate me, 65-year-old guy buying flowers for someone online. Like it's not the person that's going to be getting married. Or they could, but maybe not with us. Like then coming to the generational difference that I think TikTok, Instagram, social media has, where we are now looking into more of is kind of and I know we all struggle for time. We struggle for time because it's where do we go with retail? All of a sudden, everyone's doing their events at this time of the year and we're like, oh no, hang on, Valentine's Day comes first. We struggle to know where honestly, it gets to the end of the day and the last thing we do is social media, or we just don't even do it. And then we're like, oh, for me, I'm trying to grow the event side, but I know that without social media, that's not going to happen because my ideal, whoever's having a bridal shower or a hen's party or a wedding, anything, they are finding things on TikTok. And I know that because people my age are finding that. But where do you find the time to let go and outsource that, or to be like, hang on a minute, this is more important than what I'm doing here? Or if we do, just go find someone else and go, actually, Jeff is really good at this. Jeff, come and do this for me.
We time block because the same, right? We get super busy and 50 million other things come up and I want to go to lunch or the girls want to go to the tropic and we wag and we do other more fun things. But no, we specifically block out the first hour of every Wednesday and we do content while we're there. Sponoed. No, we time block. So we will prioritise because we won't have a business in 6, 12, 24 months if we don't prioritise it now. So it's always a juggle of finding the balance of, okay, we have a priority listing. It is weddings. So if we have a wedding on that day, the next day, that is the priority. Money is my next priority because ultimately at the end of the day, I'm a business. So if we have like consults coming in or quotes or people wanting to pay us money, content. So on a Wednesday morning, we block out from 9 till 10, 10:30. We will have, like, when we're just personally perusing social media, we will have a whole bunch of things parked that we'll save. So we have like a group chat and we'll be like, this is a cool idea, this is a cool idea. And so we'll have 5 reels that are saved. We'll smash them out in half an hour, and then we don't think about it for the rest of the week.
I think we're similar. We also block out, we have a certain schedule of like how many posts we want to get out per week and therefore the time that you need to do that in. But also we've got an amazing team that, for example, Letitia, she does a lot of our posts. She's really amazing at editing it. It's something she enjoys as well. But I mean, if you can find a Jeff that also has those skills, I think that's really, if there's no Jeff in your team that's going to give you those skills, I think it's time to look for a Jeff or love Jeff, or just outsource that once again. But I do find when it's in-house, it's a lot more effective, and it's just a lot more quicker, and you can make changes to things a lot quicker. You can check them, you can see if it's right or not, and also Jeff can eventually learn what type of stuff you like as well. So,
is there any content creators here tonight? Yeah. We have so many amazing content creators. Like once a week, like, can you come over for an hour or two?
Moments by Kate.
You are my GIF.
Get Moments by Kate in. Yeah, 1 hour a fortnight. Her job is to come in with, these are the reels that would suit your branding. Girls, quick, let's smash them out. She'll edit them, put them in a Dropbox. Done.
That's wild.
And
Like, I guess, you go.
all I was going to say was, being a small business, I can't afford to hire an Australian full time. I can't afford it, and so that's why I've kind of gone overseas. But before I did, I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I wanted before I went overseas. So that's why I hired agencies to kind of come up and work with me to kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And then I kind of took that overseas, and it takes time. It's probably, takes 2 or 3 times more time to train someone overseas than what it does here, but it can be done. And it's kind of learning, okay, cool, everything, I just get on Loom and I record absolutely every single thing that I do. And so it's essentially like recording your screen and I'm just talking to the camera. But then so I have an SOP for every different part of my business now. So after I upload, say, photos to PicTime Gallery, I'll get them to come in and they kind of put it into sections like bride prep, groom prep, all that kind of stuff. And then they'll go and create a slideshow after that. And then they'll create a wedding album. And so for every step of that way, I kind of created a video, and it takes way less time than you think. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to make an album for 45 minutes and I'm going to record it the whole time. And then I'm going to send that to them and be like, okay, you need to watch this and try and do it with no other knowledge apart from this video. And then they come back to me with questions and I kind of keep updating that until that's done. And that for me, now my wedding videos, I'll kind of, at the end of a wedding day, I'll kind of give a rundown on the way home. I'm talking about this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I kind of give that to the editor. And then they'll go away and they'll kind of choose those parts and they'll give it back to me at 80% done. And I'll be like, okay, cool, change this. But without them, I wasn't booking weddings because I already knew I had 30 and I can only edit 30 a year. Whereas now every single wedding I get, I know, cool, it cost me maybe $300 for the editor to edit this. So I can just keep getting more and more weddings. I don't care shooting. Shooting's awesome. That's the best part ever. But editing is the worst. So you can outsource. So definitely think about that as an option. You need to be a certain kind of person to be able to sit at your computer and actually intentionally train them, because they'll do things that you'll do things and you're like, how can they not understand this? And they do it completely wrong. And you're like, okay, cool, we'll start again and just kind of keep building up. It'll take time, but that's a way that I've done it because I just don't earn enough money to be able to, as bad as it sounds, to hire a full-time Australian. I can't afford it.
I guess something else I'd just touch on, I obviously understand we're all here as an events industry or wedding industry. I don't know if anyone else, what everyone's kind of, if this is their full-time thing or whatever, but for us, because we have the retail side, for example, say we have 6 girls in on a day, that would sound like, okay, you can definitely take an hour out of someone's time to make a reel. But when you're waiting for your coffee at a coffee shop, that coffee needs to be there, right there where that person's there. That's kind of what it's like for us with the bouquets going out. So trying to juggle that with also juggling Vienna and I doing everything else, and then Vienna doing the extra everything else when she's meant to be not working is just outrageous. And so that's where I think it's like, okay, sure, I have a Jeff that works for us that is really good at this content, but they actually have to make the bouquets to go out so that we can be here at the same time. And then we're just going back and forth going, where are we losing time or missing time, or where are we? I don't even know what I'm asking, but it's just wild.
The juggle is really, 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 really hard, and I 100% have been through that as well. It's okay. Everyone needs to. You need more staffing time. That's effectively the answer. Is if you're not doing it in the hours that you have, you need more staffing time. You need an external person. Everybody's going to come in half an hour early or an hour earlier, and it is hard. If I think, right, to use our business as an example, that's 5 wages. That's 5-hour wages. That's a couple of $100, right? So, I mean, we do it because we enjoy it, but you could invest that couple $100 in someone to actually do it that's a professional that might be less time. The reason why we do it how we do it is because it's also about staff satisfaction. We actually get a kick out of it. We do it on a Wednesday because it's midweek. You were mortified then. It's fine. We do it midweek because it's kind of like we stop, we reset, we reconnect with each other as a team. So yes, it is costing me a couple of $100 to film these reels, but it's actually the benefits for me from a staff mental health point of view and a connecting my team is actually wild in an industry that's so busy, is just as important to me. And I feel like we were talking about it earlier, staff retention in this industry, in this business is very, very hard. These girls have been with me for years. And I think it's an attribute to the fact that because we do those silly things, my girls, I think, are really happy in their jobs, and we have longevity, which is better brand recognition, which is there's so many flow-on effects that it's worth that, a couple $100 on a Wednesday. Yeah, come in earlier, stay later, lunch break.
I think to add to that as well, I think, for example, the Jeff you were saying that's got those talents, you need to figure out, obviously, every staff member has their own talents and what they're good at and what they enjoy doing. So obviously if Jeff is really good at doing all these reels and creating this content, then, you need to split Jeff's responsibility up. Jeff is coming up.
For me, Mia is Jeff, right?
Yeah. Letitia is our Jeff. So, for example, I wouldn't be on the weekdays when we don't have that many events. There has to be specified time for her to be able to edit. It needs to be, rather than saying from 9 to a certain amount of, the whole day you're going to be doing customer emails and whatnot. I have to give you that half a day or couple hours of time block to be able to do that and to make it possible. Otherwise, Jeff will be very overwhelmed.
Sorry, this is the last thing I'll speak on. I know I'm rambling, but okay. Jeff's in the room. Do you come up with those ideas in your, do you sit down and have time during work where you think about this? Or is it ideas you pull from?
I'm answering that. Yeah, they do.
Okay. So it's scheduled time during work to sit there and figure out because obviously we can find the half an hour to film the content, but I don't know what content I'm filming.
Sometimes, everyone goes through periods of being inspired and not inspired. We usually like to do, if we're going to do filming, we have a filming day. So once a month, we'll film a bunch of different things and we'll have a schedule and agenda, and then after that's editing. But then the weekly post where it's more low effort things, if Letitia or Jeff sees a really cool meme or whatnot and just, puts in that video, the low effort posts. But things that require team engagement requires time. And again, I've found that, because we are wedding coordinating essentially for them as well, our customers already know their faces when they come for a venue tour. So I think it's been really good for the girls as well to be recognised and to be oh, I think I saw you on the post. I think I know who you are. I think I can trust you a lot more immediately with just my wedding, essentially.
We are all social media people in my business. We live and breathe wedding shit. This is all of our lives. We do spend a lot of time in our personal time. We'll be at home, and I try to be very, very respectful of boundaries in terms of I don't expect my girls to be sitting at home finding this shit. They do it because they love it. Em will be at home doing bath and bed routine or whatever, and then I can tell she's laying down relaxing because she'll send me 10 reels. So we do find a lot of stuff that we all love and connect with in our personal time. We probably do spend, I make a joke about doing it at work. We all do it. I do it the worst. But that is part of our job, and we have to treat that is literally, in most businesses, some people's actual job role is to create, take, edit content. So it's hard in a small business because we don't have as much money and time, but it's definitely about prioritising getting it because it is super, super important.
I was just going to add to that. When I'm sitting down editing a TikTok or something, or we're sitting there looking for stuff, I feel so guilty. I'm oh my God, this is not work.
Are you saying this to me directly?
Yeah, I do. I feel guilty because I'm this doesn't feel like work, but it is. It is a part of it. And yeah, we're definitely all on TikTok a lot. So we definitely see stuff in our own time as
letting go as well. The girls have, Claudia has our Instagram login. Mia has our TikTok login. That's a huge thing as a business owner, is to actually, so obviously I have we are a family, so that's no problems for me. But the girls know our brand message. So even if I'm wagging work and I'm not coming in for the day, the girls know what they can and cannot post, and they have full authority to go and make their own content and post their own content to TikTok, whatever. So sometimes it's also about letting go, right? It doesn't all have to be you. It can't all be you. It can't all be me. Keep going.
We've all, sorry, an awkward silence. We've all heard of Jim's mowing. Now we need Jeff's in the industry.
Jeff's here. No, I just wanted to add to that. For me personally, education is a big part of efficiency in the workplace. Like there's great resources just that are targeted to business owners generally, and just general professional development that really help with time efficiency and how to set aside time to do those things. The 4-hour work week, if you have not read or listened to that audiobook, it is the bomb about teaching how to get rid of all the stuff that you feel keeps you busy but really isn't adding value to your business or your brand or reaching out to your target market. So that's a great resource. But yeah, books, audiobooks, professional development really helps, or has helped me improve time and finding time to do things. I'm Cameron from Sunlit Studios. My wife, Alina, she does all our social media, and I find it quite difficult because she will look to me and say, come up with ideas for us to post, because I'm running out of ideas and I hate it. And I'm just like, I have no idea. We've got 2 daughters, they're young, 6 and 9, and we're quite intentional and careful with how much screen time our girls get. So I'm actually anti, addiction to social media. I'm trying to avoid TikTok. I know it's terrible. I should be in there. It sounds really inspiring what you're doing, Ivy and Bleu, but I do come from that mindset of I need to avoid TikTok. I don't want my girls to know what TikTok is for as long as possible. But the reality is it's our industry. It's the business. We're in weddings. It's what our target market is or will become. So I do personally find that a hard balance.
I 100% agree. Quick hint, I don't know if anyone knows Creator Search Insights. Is anyone a fan of that? So TikTok specifically, a really good way to cut down your time, because I do spend a lot of time on there, but I notice it affects my mental health as well. I 100% validate that. And as a mother of a teenager, I also try to cut that down as much as possible. On TikTok specifically, there is a really amazing tool. If you literally go to the search bar and you type in Creator Search Insights, it will actually come up with the topics that are trending for you to create content for, and you click. So you go Creator Search Insights, and then you go Content Gap, and then you look for the things that are increasing. And if you target your marketing, it will massively reduce your time spent on the app and actually tell you what people are wanting to see and what's trending really well.
We've had massive success. Awesome. I know nothing about TikTok. But yeah, also even like repurposing. I did a course by Engage Creative. I had them on the podcast a while ago. And it is even like, I think I've talked about it where I was just like, here's an Instagram post, but then like repurposing it and knowing like, okay, here's my email marketing letter. Like how can that go into that? And how can that go to Facebook? And how can I repurpose this? So like trying to, and coming back to like that, we kind of break it down to like a 3-monthly planner for our marketing efforts now. And kind of knowing ahead of time, like it's actually really easy for us. Like I can look through, as bad as it sounds, like I can look through 10 photographers that I love or videographers that I love, and I can like look at their feed, and it's very easy to kind of break down, okay, cool, they'll have a travel photo, they'll have like a slow shutter photo, they'll have this, and kind of to create a beautifully like aesthetic feed, it actually isn't that hard to do. It's just like takes a little bit of analytics to kind of work it out, and then I can literally pass that on to my staff and like this is kind of the idea of where we're going. But I think that kind of comes back to having the plan in place to be able to create all that time, and not because it's so hard. Like on the moment, like I need to do something for Instagram. It's so hard to kind of think of something, and then you just kind of throw something away, and you're like, photo dancing, it's like nothing. Yeah. But all right, is there any other questions that you guys want to talk about here? Yeah. Cool. Happy to wrap it up about there, guys. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming down, everyone. Really appreciate it. And yeah, Alina and Mandi for putting this on. Thank you very much. Excited for the open day?
Excited. Little open day plug. We've had over 500 people register, like total people coming through. And you've also got to remember when a client is, or like a lead is coming up to you, it's not just about just that person, their sister, like their mum could be on their 3rd marriage, whatever. Like the amount of business that we actually pick up from open days that is actually not just the person that's there that's engaged, and making sure that you're marketing yourself correctly on the day. So I know it's really hard if you're not a confident person to actually get out there and speak to people, but making sure that you're speaking, making sure that you're getting lead generation so you have something to write people's stuff down. I don't believe in sending out everyone like a database of everyone that's registered for the open day, because I don't want to spam people with like people that they aren't interested with. It's overwhelming enough as it is on the day. So making sure if you're having those really good chats, you know, if you have like a chat and they're talking about like they're going to have their dog walking down the aisle, like their name, you know, they're going to have their dog walking down the aisle. Send them a really genuine, not like a blast email after the fact. And if you have any questions, like we're super here to support you. For those that are going to be there next Sunday, most of the venues will have actually one of us girls there as a wedding collective representative. So we want to make sure that you guys are super supported during the setup process. And we're going to be coming around and we're going to be doing like some Q&As. We're going to be doing like photos and videos of everyone's setups on the day. So if you see us, please come up and say hi. We will put a little microphone in your face at some point. But we want to give you guys a voice. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you all. Let's hope it's not raining.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedco podcast. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a review or connect with us on social media. New episodes drop every week, so be sure to join us next time for more wedding inspiration, tips, and stories. Until then, happy planning, and we'll see you soon.